Hey, folks, what's up? Damn, that counter came up really quick. I'm gonna be honest with you. Hey, folks, what's up? So we've got a jam-packed episode today. We are talking about a show coming to SYFY. If you know what that is. SYFY, we've got some comic book reviews of comics that are really great, awesome. From superheroes getting together to a very disturbing superhero murder mystery.
Mm.
And we're also going to be talking about some actually real world comics and politics kind of things as well. So, Robert, are you ready?
We're ready.
That kind of took the fun out of everything else I said, and I was like, politics. Damn it, man. Came here to escape politics.
It's too much. It's too much.
It's always too much, folks. That's the problem, unfortunately. All right, folks. Yeah, let's have some fun. Let's just do that. I don't even, yeah, I'm not even going. Yeah, all right. It's just a lot.
Let's go.
Hey, folks, what's up? This is TBA News, Comics Geek Culture, Comics Culture, presented by the Hungry Bleak channel. Thank you very much to anyone who's watching on YouTube, Twitch, or finally Instagram, because thought I was broadcasting on Instagram for the last couple weeks. Turns out I was not. You have to hit one button twice. Thanks, Instagram, for making it so difficult to actually stream on there. Whatever. My name is Antonio Pomares, aka the Hungry Bleak, the hungriest man in the room. And as always, for these comic book chats it's
Robert Jeffrey, co-host of this astounding podcast.
That's one word to describe it today. Astounding will work, I guess. Yeah.
Astounding. Excelsior. Got words for days.
And there spit out my tea. Glad I didn't have any yak in there. So let's start up with some of the news, Robert. Let's go with a very topical one as well. That's actually going on.
Yeah, the T word. It's become like a curse word. Tariffs. So tariffs are, this topic requires people who are much more learned and knowledgeable about the economic side of things and what effect this will have on the world at large, but specifically within comic books, there's been a lot of talk about, what effect, I can't even say if any, this will have on the industry. And, I just wanted to kind of bring up, kind of touch on it for a little bit. Like I said, this is very surface level. There are definitely trade publications, experts, economic experts who are kind of much more knowledgeable about this. But a couple of the things that at least I've been hearing and reading when it comes to this is that one thing specifically is that for indie publishers or indie comic book creators who get their books published overseas, they are definitely worried about the markup that's going to happen on their ability to publish specifically in China, because we're seeing we're basically now the U.S. is locked in a trade war. So the future, I don't want to say is looking like completely bleak, but it is something that creatives have to consider, if they get their books printed overseas. One of the things that I've seen or at least noticed is that current mainstream or at least larger comic book companies haven't been affected as of yet, as much as we're expecting. And I think one of the for like some of the rates that I've seen as far as for tariffs just in general could rise from it's at 7.5 to 100%, which is insane. But the trade paperbacks or comics haven't been affected as of yet, but it is this thing of, and I think just in general, like you across the board, people are going out to buy groceries, people are, kind of stocking up. Like we saw the other day, video game developers, are kind of about to kind of feel the pinch, but this is a thing that we will possibly see months later. as far as the effects that the tariffs are actually going to have on various industries, including comic books. So nothing immediate as of yet, but it seems like it's this kind of scary wait and see approach. When it comes to comic books in particular, specifically, or the trades, or the actual floppies. I've read that it looks like actual items. It's like figures and board games and other things have actually been affected immediately, sooner than the actual comic books. So it's something that stores, retailers, your local comic book shops, and publishers are considering this. And even though it's not immediate across the board, it is something that will more than likely have an effect on most of, if not all, the geek stuff that you love, to take part in. So tariffs are affecting everything across the board. And at the end of the day, definitely, the prominent concern is, the necessities when it comes to, food and clothing and whatnot. But this is just something, like, generally speaking, I just wanted to kind of put it out there. It's something that comic book fans should be aware of, and, just kind of, not kind of turn their heads away from, because we understand that discussing politics nowadays is something that can kind of take you out, but you got to be aware of what is going down just across the board. So, but yeah, it's definitely something I feel warrants much more homework and just consideration. But just so, talk to your LCSs, see how they're going to be affected by this, and what you could possibly do, if anything, to help as we start to feel the brunt of these tariffs. So that it was just, like I said, just something generally speaking I wanted to kind of toss out there at the beginning of this conversation.
Yeah, this is going to be something to check out. The tariffs are affecting many of us. I was just affected, unfortunately, today with my job. So, eventually, everything that you love eventually will be affected by this person in office. I know, obviously, we both know people who are in the industry. You are in the industry, and a lot of people have starting to have their own figures, big figures, pop figures, action figures. They're doing different things just besides the comics. They're doing actual merchandise. So I'm wondering how that's affecting other things like t-shirts and figures, anything like that. So it's very interesting to see. We'll obviously keep you abreast of this topic, because this is something that is near and dear to us, because not just are we fans of this and everything, but we're in that bubble. Robert more so than myself, but to see everything that's going on. So this is something that we will stay on top of. Sometimes political things will weave into actual comics. Like, there are probably lists of comics we could bring up that have very political stories that are so prevalent today. Comics that were done years ago, comics that were done before this person was in office. So yeah, this is something that we will keep in our discussions. Well, yes, Jabba, he is ruining our happiness. Thoroughly ruining our happiness.
Yeah.
Yes, it's unfortunately, but yeah. I don't even have a segue. I'm going to be honest with you.
Segue, yeah, not needed. He's
I mean, it's just the way he's brought about this tyranny is a revival of things that have happened years past and in other countries. Speaking of revival, nope, still got it. There we go. Revival is an Image comic. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet.
Count 'em out.
I'm not done yet, you orange bastard. So Revival is an Image comic, and it is going to be getting a live action series on SYFY, SYFY. This is pretty cool. This is a comic I really enjoyed. I read the first trade. It's basically in this town, people who are dead have been brought back, and they're able to like regenerate and everything, and nobody knows why. And this town's like sheriff is trying to figure it out, and the fact that her sister was actually revived as well. Figure out what's going on. You may recognize the actress who is playing the sheriff. It is Melanie Scrofano. I hope I'm pronouncing her name properly. She was from the Winona Earp.
Okay.
She was the same actress from that. So nice to see her still going along in like the geek genre space, and also with sci-fi.
Nice.
And this is Revival, and Winona Earp was I'm trying to remember the company that it was a comic for. Can't remember. I think they put out 2 trades, I want to say.
I can't remember.
It's right on the tip of my tongue too, which is Blue Water. No. Blue Tide. No. I'll figure. I have a feeling that Robert is Googling that mess.
I'm on it.
Yeah, and this is going to be on Thursday, June 12th. So not that far away. There's actually a trailer that's already been going around. I'll show you a bit of that now. No sound, obviously. So yeah, I love seeing, like I said, different things that are getting these. Oh, you can't see nothing because it is not up on the screen. Yeah, so I love seeing different things, not just superhero stories, but all these other stories that are coming out from indie comics that are maybe horrors or sci-fi comics, anything like that. Like there are some comics I wish they would do because I think they would be incredible, like maybe 2 or 3 season series, and I think it would be great. Image and IDW, yes, okay. Oh, it was. Oh, yeah, I think one was Image, and I think the other arc was IDW. I think, yeah. I think because I remember looking at them going, oh, they're both companies.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm excited to see this one. I actually want to try and read. Yeah, like I need another book on my damn list. I want to try. I think I say that about 3 times every episode. I want to try and reread the first trade and then, excuse me, then read the series. Because it was just so cool to see. This is when I started really getting into other comics besides superhero comics. And this was one of the comics that I was like, oh, I kept wanting to read this and read it. And I finally read it and I was like, oh, this is so dope. Then once again, life took over. Something else about this series is that you will notice, actually the image just went by. You will notice a certain Chicago denizen, the Second City Saint, the best in the world, CM Punk is actually a part of the show as well. So this is pretty cool to see him. I know he's done a lot of like acting and movie stuff like that before. He's done UFC. So with him being in the WWE back there, and this being on SYFY, which is a part of, I want to say, the whole Peacock USA family. I think this is going to be something that's going to get played up a bit more, which is awesome. SYFY has just had a resurgence of series and everything. It used to be the channel that you would just see bad movies on like Saturday nights. I'm not going to forgive some of those movies. I'm not forgiving some of those movies. Some of those movies were just horrible. So this is cool to see. I'm very excited to see this. So yeah, let's go for a revival. I hope it ends up having a really good run and they have a lot of fun with this. This is going to be, like I said, Thursday, June 12th. Let's see if there was a time. June 12th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah. And episodes will be available on Peacock a week after they air. A week later? Jeez, what the hell? I mean, that's better than SmackDown, actually. SmackDown is like 2 months behind. What the hell? You guys got a lot of money. You got to speed this up.
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait till SmackDown's on Netflix. Jesus.
Losing the Hulu. They're losing the Hulu.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude, they used I used to watch like the episodes on Hulu, but they would cut it down.
Oh wow.
So Raw was 3 hours and it would be like an hour and a half. And I'm like, I know there ain't that damn many commercials. So I'm missing storylines. I'm like, whatever. So yeah, this is gonna be exciting. So check this out. It's gonna be a fun one, I'm hoping. And like I said, series was good. I hope this actually brings up more of the series. Maybe they get like a hardcover edition at some point. They like to do that at times. So cool. But I mean, it's coming back like that and everything. You would think that this town was run over by monsters, but Robert's got a review for one that we've been talking about before, which is Monsters We Make. I refuse to be stopped. I refuse to be stopped.
You just keep it coming, keep it rolling.
That's it, man. That's it.
So Monsters We Make, it's a series written and created by, I always get this, I want to make sure I get this brother's name right, Corey X Kenshin. Yeah, Corey X Kenshin. He's a YouTuber, streamer. I know he streams video games. He's very active on just on this, various streaming networks, and has a huge following. Has been doing this for years and is killing it. And wrote a manga. I think called Monsters We Make, and it's a it seems as if he's like heavily influenced by anime and manga, so he decided to go ahead and just had an idea in his mind, and at least from the press that I've read, and just brought it to life and to fruition. And from what I'm hearing, is this book it's breaking records as far as for the amount of sales that he's made. And one of the things that I love is that he's kind of built he not specifically for this book, but has a huge following, and his people stepped up, when he put the book out. And it got me interested because I saw like an animated trailer for the book, and it guided me to the website and purchase a copy. So shout out to marketing, because as an indie creator, you love hearing stories like that, especially for a first time book. But I want to give a shout out to the creative team. We have Corey X Kenshin. Corey Miguel is created by, written by, principal art by Andrew Gong, art by Elias McGee Shaman, letterer Leland Björg, editor Vincent Almazar, and assistant editor Robbie Zhang Smitheram. So the book is basically, it's about a kid named Jabari Booker who enrolls in a school called New Eden Academy, and it's the setting of the book is in a city called, it begins with an S. That's what I've been trying to remember this. Sonata. So it's like, it has kind of like a neo-noir, future punk, type of vibe. And I know it like mixed together a bunch of genres. Cyberpunk. That's what it is. Cyberpunk. And he thinks he's going in there to to study. He's a music maestro. I think it's on piano, but it turns out that he's actually been recruited by the school to join the fight against these group of monsters or creatures called they're called leakers. They're called leakers, and it's like this. The sad thing is, like, they kind of remind me a little bit of like child soldiers or whatever. So it's not. It's less of like the new Avengers or the Champions, and it's more of like the school is being kind of very duplicitous of their rationale or their reasons for bringing these like prodigies, because there's something about Jabari and the other students that stands out as to why they need to be brought into this team, but they aren't. This isn't a part of the pitch. So one of the things I'm going to start off with is, and like I said, I'll make this short, but is manga is not my forte. It's one of those things that I'm a newbie when it comes to manga. So I was reading this book, and I know you have to read it from right to left. And I think where my brain got like frazzled was reading the panels. So I immediately went to my wife, and it was just like, this ain't making sense. I need you to, because she's the manga expert, and she actually showed me like, this is how you read the panels. And I was doing all right with the pages because I was like, okay, this is not making sense. So once it made sense, the book works out. It's really well written. I love the artwork. And it's funny because to me, it has kind of a vibe of Miles Morales' Spider-Man going to like his new school in the first Spider-Verse movie. And it does this complete Now, like I've seen a bunch of like horror and action anime, and that's where it goes from there. It is very violent when you encounter the monsters for the first time. The action is very hard hitting. It flows. But one of the things that I love that's kind of strewn within the story is like the blackness. You know, there's one there's one part where Jabari kind of discusses having to like, and his parents are talking to like, you gotta do good. You gotta do better than everybody else around you. And we had that discussion. I think there's a character who's on the team. I forget her name, but she's talking about she's like, doing her hair, just like little things like that. And also, I love Jabari's connection to his family. It's cool to see a family that is not necessarily like broken as the motivation for him doing what he does. And I'm not saying things don't get dark, but seeing that Black family unit, and then also like, even Jabari's hairstyle is on point. That's one thing that we talk about within comics, like drawing Black hair. But I think like for first, and I don't want to say this is the first manga that I've read, but first, kind of getting into it, I enjoyed myself a lot, and I want to see more of this. But like I said, if you're looking for a new manga to read that's created by a Black creative, that is very much, I think, in line with some of the best anime that's out there, and I can't say manga because I haven't read like a lot of it, but like at least from what I've gotten from watching various anime like horror and action. This is worth picking up. I think it's a good first effort. That's what I want to say. Like, and I enjoyed it, so I'm glad that I purchased the book. So that's so I was going to say that's always a sign of something that's good. So I was like, I didn't waste my money. So definitely worth. Like I said, it's definitely worth checking out.
Now, did you get the print and the digital, or did you just get the digital, or just the print?
I got both.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So what happens is, and I haven't logged on just yet, but since I purchased the book, but when you buy the book for, I think it's like 15, they'll give you a digital copy, but you have to read it through their website. So they'll send you. So I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I'm going to get the PDF, and it was like, nah, you're going to read it through the website. So so I waited until I got the physical copy and read through that. But yeah, and it's I should have done. I don't do unboxing book videos, but the package that they sent it in was really awesome, and they also give you a thank you. I don't have it in here, but you also get like a thank you letter, which is like kind of a postcard size. Yeah, it was beautiful. Like they did a really good job with it. So so it's definitely worth like picking up and giving it a shot. So the only thing I will suggest is that they should give just a digital only option for people who don't do physical copies, because I think that you kind of like are forcing people to get only a physical copy when they might just want to do digital. So it's something that I think they should take into consideration, and maybe they are. So
I think they are, but honestly, usually $15 would be the price of just one.
Yeah.
So but I would say, if anything, first off, story sounds amazing. I remember this video going around for a while, and everybody thought it was a new anime coming out. We were all losing our minds because we were like, where the hell did this come from? And why is it not on our TVs right now?
Yeah.
It looks incredible and amazing. It has a feel of, and it's just for me looking at it, it has a feel of like a Kaiju number 8 and Gare Zero, I want to say it's called. Like just the supernatural aspect of it. People who don't know anime are like, I don't know what the hell he just said. It don't even make a difference. Whatever. And I appreciate that. Thank you for sticking around even after me saying that, and you have no idea what I'm talking about. But it has that feel to it and that look, which is cool. I definitely want to get this. Like I said, my stack is ridiculous, and I'm trying to figure out my life. But if I add one more thing to it, it's fine. The one thing I would say is, in doing, the price is great for both. I'm not gonna that's amazing, but I would say a PDF would
Yeah,
probably
that's
be more suitable. But this is the first endeavor to, and maybe there's a reason why they did it on the website. I don't know.
I. So the only thing I could worry. The only thing I could think about is piracy. Because with the PDF, yeah. And so I
Yeah,
think that at that point,
yeah.
the option is to get it to a website where there are e-readers. So something like Comixology or I think the website that you've
Global
been telling me
Comics.
about, Global Comics. Yeah.
Global
So
Comics
that,
would be a perfect fit for this, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that would be perfect. So, but like I said, the only critique I have is just like make it, get us a digital version to a
Mhm.
place where you don't have to worry about the piracy. I love the wallpaper that they have on here. But like I said,
Yeah.
first effort, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So after my wife taught me how to read a manga, it was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
So
That's the thing with me too, is I have trouble reading um Eastern manga because my brain can't comprehend it.
yeah,
But I have like Western manga
yeah,
that I can read, and it's much easier. But for this, I would venture and I would like focus myself to do it,
hmm,
to read it. But I'm glad it's good, and I'm hoping to hear so much more from the team of We Make Monsters. Awesome.
yeah.
Next up, we've got this was a new one out of Image, which is Lost Fantasy. Excuse me. Um, this was actually one that just kind of caught my eye real quick, and I was like, okay,
Mhm,
a hunter with a big sword. Obviously,
mhm.
yes. Because we just had Devil May Cry a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I mean Guts, the the guy with the biggest sword possible. Cloud, I should say as well. I think it's Cloud from Final Fantasy who has a
Uh,
ridiculous sword as well.
yeah,
If I get that
Berserker.
wrong, yeah, if I get that wrong, I'm sure I will hear from Jabba Chan, who will just be more than willing to school me on that, which is great. So yeah, so this is Lost Fantasy. This is out of Image Comic, excuse me. This was really cool. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. No, I cannot, because why would I be able to? Which is awesome. Yeah, it's great. It's fine. Yeah, this is the first issue. So basically, you have this world where there are different realms, I guess could be a way to say it, where they're like in each country is like a different house. Think of like the Sanctum Sanctorum,
Hmm.
similar to that, and they're governed by different hunters. And at one time, these hunters got together to stop all these rampant monsters and demons that were on Earth, just tearing the place up. Well, excuse me. Um, one of the hunters ended up finding this baby in the woods, baby with stark white hair, and raised this baby to be a hunter because the baby had magic too. And he's like, I haven't felt magic this strong, like real magic like this so strong in so long. So he became a hunter. So we open up with this. The way it opened up felt kind of like something's killing the children, where you just see this horrible event and like, well, this is where you're starting. I can only imagine where you're going to end at the end of this issue, because you're already giving me this crazy vibe.
Right.
So we meet our hunter, and he gets a call saying, "Look, it's going down. We need you." Immediately starts doing magic and is able to teleport to Montana, because if you can teleport, you teleport to Montana. That's where I would go. That makes total sense. That's not where I would go. So yeah, this is from Kurt Pires. I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. Luca Casalanguida, Mark Dale, and Micah Myers. They did a phenomenal job on this. The colors
Yes.
were nice and very bold. I love the look of the magic too. It feels, well, what would be the word? Abstract? Is that the word I should be using? Possibly. We'll go with abstract, because not a word I use very often. So this is basically the prologue, and tells the story of the hunters and how they've always been around, and how they even knew, like you see like a Roosevelt here, and they've just been around for so long saving the earth. And then you see the different houses that are for these hunters that have been protecting the earth, and this boy training in magic and just becoming this hunter that is renowned because it's so strong. Even with a touch, they're able to see like some of the past, to see what happened and how you were attacked. And we get, the old grizzled sheriff. If we get a series and he is willing to do it, I would say this sheriff should be done by Sam Elliott, because damn if it don't look like Sam.
Nice.
Sam Elliott's been around for 357 years. This dude has been here for so long, and it feels like he gets cooler or his mustache gets longer. I don't know which one's first. I don't know, but what have you.
Yeah.
So it's basically the story of this, and you find out where Under's coming from, and he even has like these two dragons that he's able to summon to help him with finding out what's going on at the scene, and also helping him in fights as well, which I love. I love having a familiar with that. There's a couple of animes like that that have familiars, and I love the idea of a hunter, a witch, a warlock, what have you, having a familiar that helps them out, and then that familiar ends up getting more fleshed out as a character. You find out how they became a familiar, what they can do, and they end up being ridiculously strong. And they have like this really small, cute little form, and they end up being a beast in battle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see that Hunter's actually able to chamber weapons too, basically like being able to bring up like almost like a pocket dimension where all the weapons are at, and they can pick. Okay, well I'll choose this one, or I'll choose this one, what have you, which I love. This time he picks a big ass sword, because why would you pick a big ass sword if you can do that? Just gonna keep saying a big ass sword. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. It was cool. I want to see where the story goes. Sometimes I just need a story that's cool and fun, and seeing someone get knocked out. And like I said, after watching Devil May Cry, I was really in the mood for something like this. And since I'm not going to be getting Devil May Cry season 2 just yet, even though it's already been marked for it, I think they're actually working on it now, possibly. If they are, thank you. Lost Fantasy is definitely in that same feeling and genre, and I want to know more about this world, because I love hunters and monsters and such like that. And hopefully we'll be able to see more of this world and the other houses as well, which I hope.
Cool.
So that's why. Yep. Yeah, I didn't have a really good segue for that. Damn it, I didn't. Well, that was my Lost Fantasy for that one. So there you go. I know it's a segue after the fact. It's horrible, but look, you cannot stop, because that I found that very empowering. Speaking of Power Company Recharged.
Yeah. Yep.
Was here, and yeah.
So we are back with the Power Company. They're so this is the Power Company Recharged. I think it's number 1. It's number 1. At least that's how it reads on my reader. And it introduces it. Basically, we're going back to the first book. The Power, was it just the Power Company for the
I want to say it was Power Company. Well, it was DC Power.
DC Power. Gotcha. So DC Power Company. So it's this group is being brought together by, is it just Josiah Power?
Yeah, Josiah Power, yeah.
Josiah Power. And basically creating his own super team in the wake of the anti-meta human, I guess, movement that Amanda Waller has created, apparently from before she went to jail. So we have this group of heroes, Vixen, at least in this issue, Vixen, Jace Fox Batman, The Signal, Black Lightning, and Josiah Power, as far as, those that are making their appearance in this. And here we get their first mission, and basically there's a meta serial killer, that's going around and killing metas, and specifically I think it's in Atlanta, because that's where the story takes place. And the Signal, Vixen, and Black Lightning and Josiah Power are attempting to recruit Jace Fox to help them find out who his killer was. But Jace is already on the trail of this serial killer. So one of the things that it kind of threw me off, and this is something I been talked about with Antonio, was that I'm not as familiar with Jace Fox's Batman as other people are, and I'm always going to be the type to I'm gonna let you know, like I said, if I'm kind of coming up short with something, so nobody would like, brother, you should have, you said you knew and you didn't know. Like, I don't know, when it comes to Jace. So Jace is not the Batman that I've like used to. I haven't read a lot of his work, but the thing that was different to me was because I don't know what his personality is in the bat suit, is he seemed a lot like Batman. He seemed a lot like Batman. And one of the things that when I've seen people, other characters who have like worn the bat suit, like somebody like Dick Grayson, Dick is still Dick, you know, in that costume. So I didn't know if it was something that this is like Jason. I don't know what his experience or his background is to make him seem more like Bruce when he's in the suit. So like it seemed very much like sometimes I felt like I was, because I'm not familiar with Jason's background, it felt like I was reading Bruce in the suit. And because I like the idea of other characters inhabiting, you know, if they do take on the Batman guise, that they bring their own personalities and their own experience. And so I was like, is his experience very similar to Bruce? So that was something that I had to kind of adjust my thinking. I'm not saying that he was badly written or anything like that. It was just different to me, you know. So so that was one thing. I personally love the Atlanta backdrop, because one of the things I always say when I talk about Route 3 is that, you know, I could have said it in like a Chicago, New York, or some variation of that, but I wanted to have a city that, at least when it comes to like major metropolises that are featured in comic books, at least the superhero comic books, you have a city that most people don't associate with that. So I love the fact that they're based out of Atlanta and the story is taking place. The only thing I want for, if we get future issues and we're in Atlanta, I want to see some local flavor. You know, I want to see, you know, so them go to East Point. I want them to go to Decatur. I want them to go outside the perimeter. I want to see Atlanta, you know, like, or Georgia, you know, just you know, one thing to consider. But I love the fact that was where most of the action took place. I like seeing Vixen and the Signal in the story. And I do like the moments that we got to see them as a team, but knowing Brian Edward Hill, his work with the Outsiders, he can write a team book like a mofo. Like he can work that. And I felt that this was very much a Batman heavy book. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but it is something where I know that Hill does team books very well. And it was one where Black Lightning was leading the book. And I would like to see that from future issues. So I wanted to get a little bit more, especially because when we saw Signal with Jace in that previous DC Power book, I love their dynamic. You know, I love their relationship, and I wanted to kind of see a little bit more of that. But I believe that the villain was very solid. I just like the idea. It's not often that you get to see Black serial killers, especially with like this, you know, kind of covert ops military background. And I felt he was a really good antagonist. But I really enjoyed his like extreme, I hate to say it's like racism. Like it was just something like he was a solid foil for Jason. So one of the things that I'm seeing a lot of discussion about this book, like I said, my 2 cents on it is like, I feel it's a good introduction to the team. And I want to see more. You know, one of the reasons I got the book is because I love the creative team that they put together, but it is one of those things where if you don't give it a shot, then, you know, we possibly won't be able to see more. So I think it's worth checking out. You know, like I said, that's my constructive criticisms, the things that worked. I don't think there was anything that didn't work in it, but it was just things that, you know, I just needed to kind of wrap my head around with certain things. But overall, like I said, I enjoyed it, and the artwork was on point. The writing was really good. The team: Brian Edward Hill, Kari Randolph, Aletha Martinez, Norm Ratman, Ray Anthony Height, and Studio Sky Tiger, and Miguel Lopez and Alex Gumares on colors, and End World Design on letters. And there are a bunch of really good covers, you know, for this. So I want more. I definitely want more. But that, like my 2 cents about it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. The only things that bother me were they've got heavy hitters on this, obviously, but it was just jarring that the in one issue to have all the different art. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I wanted it to be like the one artist to doing the work and coloring what have you, but excuse me, because you get it almost felt like a DC Power, how you're
Hmm.
getting different writers and different artists, and it's an
Yeah.
anthology. Sometimes that just throws me a little bit because I'm digging into it, I'm getting into it, and I notice the art is similar if I'm watching an animated series or movie or what have you,
Hmm.
and the animation style changes
Yeah.
abruptly, and it's not like a flashback or trying to tell a story with the art. It's just different art. It just threw me. Something else also was Black Lightning's hair. That probably seems very silly, and I can totally understand if it does, but it just looked like he got an S curl, and for some reason it just bugged me.
Okay. Okay.
And I don't it like I said, these if this is the worst things I can say, I
Right.
really enjoyed the hell out of it.
Hmm.
It just bugged me because looking at Black Lightning's hair in like other series, and I love it. I love the kinky, the thick, whether he's got the twist, whatever it is, I love that. But it was just the locks were juicy. You know what I mean? Like that's the only I don't know how else to say it. Again, very minute thing,
Yeah.
but I enjoyed the team demographic. I thought Bolt was going to be in this because he was in that first
Yeah.
one, but
Yeah.
I think maybe they'll bring him in later,
Hmm.
or maybe he's just deciding to just stay with being a doctor. I'm not sure, but I
Hmm.
enjoy Bolt as a character because passing on the ring from Black Adam to him, which is very interesting to me.
Right.
Uh, yeah, when I was reading this, yeah, it definitely is a Batman heavy book.
Hmm.
Um, and them trying to recruit him, and even him trying to be the detective. I enjoyed his thought process. I read a little bit of Jace Fox's Batman when it was Future State.
Okay.
That was my first interaction with him, and then there's Second Son,
Hmm.
and then there's I Am Batman.
Okay.
Those series. Um, when I was reading this, I immediately heard Aldous Hodge
Hmm.
because of it felt like as Jace was standing there doing it, he was doing the detective thing, but he was also doing like a profiler thing. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does have that Batman like disappear out of nowhere. It just you standing there, having a sandwich, and he's standing and he's just there behind you, like I found out about the case. You're like, what the hell, man? What?
Well, it was so for
Yeah,
me. It was more his interaction with the team
yeah,
because
like
when we
that very jerky kind of. I
yeah
already know.
and the thing of like not I don't need you guys and this
Yeah,
and you'll only slow me down, and that's why, like I said,
yeah.
I freely admit I am not familiar with him as Batman, so
Mhm.
that's why it was a little jarring because it felt like Bruce as Batman, so
Yeah,
that's where I was just like, let me do my homework to learn more about his background, and maybe he's just as much of a hole as Bruce is when he's in the suit, because it was so those scenes specifically, not saying that they were written not
no,
well,
but just
very
yeah.
well. Yeah, but it was just like I need to know who Jace is, because Dick will still be like cracking jokes,
Yeah, like even though he's trying not to, and Damon's looking at him like, "You got to stop that. You got to stop
yeah,
cracking jokes
yeah,
so they'll know." Yeah, that because that was
exactly,
just Dick, where he was. Yeah, yeah. I no, I totally understand. I totally understand. But it's like
yeah.
it was a joke when I said it, but I said it. But I mean, it's kind of true. Batman's like a franchise, so you have to go by the parent company's like directives,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like that's it. But yeah, it did feel like a little bit, but I prefer him in a suit just because of the way I don't know, it's something about it. It's something about the team dynamic as well. And I've wanted to see Signal team up with someone so he could
yes,
become even more seasoned
yeah.
um hero. Not necessarily Jace. I wanted to see him team up with um Black Lightning. Black Lightning seemed like a good one because he's a teacher to begin with.
Well, we had that and that was definitely in the Outsiders. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So that's I love that. Like I said,
Yeah. That that book was awesome. Yeah, I
Yeah,
absolutely love
I
that
am.
series.
I love this series. Yeah,
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get more of this, like I said, because I want to see where they go. And I want to see what else they'll do, where they'll be based even too.
yeah.
Would be interesting. And Josiah is a character that wasn't around for a long while, and seeing what happened to him with his powers and everything, I want to see where we go with that, and
Hmm.
him making this team. And even if Batman's just a part timer, which is what he likes to do,
Hmm.
I want to see where this goes. So
Yeah,
yeah, this was definitely a one to get up, and yeah, the
they were beautiful.
covers were just beautiful.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was crazy. Yeah, and I mean, I think there was one that may have been a foil cover. Speaking of foil, we got a comic called Tin Can Society. That wasn't really good, but I don't care. I enjoyed it. It was fun for me. This one is a bit not sure how actually to describe this one actually. Tin Can Society. This one is very striking, and it hit very hard visually as well as the story wise. This is basically a mystery superhero murder mystery where you're trying to figure out who murdered the superhero. Something else that's very striking about this comic is that the superhero has spina bifida, and they actually tell you what spina bifida is in the actual comic. Spina bifida is when there's a sac of fluid that actually is on the outside instead of the inside, so the spine isn't protected as much,
Hmm.
which is very interesting. Something else that they actually did also. Now this is out of Image. Story is by Peter Warren and Rick Remender. Rick Remender, obviously, right there.
Yeah.
Writer is Peter Warren. Artist is Francesco Mobili. Colors are Chris Chuckery, and letters are Russ Wooten. I say Russ Wooten's name a lot on this show.
Hmm.
Actually, all the shows. Now, one of the big things also is that it comes with a trigger warning. Uh, I don't have my glasses on, so bear with me, folks. This book contains graphic depictions of violence and bodily harm, including some experienced by, tilt the screen a little bit, folks, disabled and BIPOC characters, discussions of racism, albinism, and hate are prevalent throughout the story. So they tell you off the bat that this story has that going on because it is a story. I'm not even showing you, geez, what the hell, I'm horrible at this. Apparently, I've been doing this for 4 years. I'm still bad at it. That they're telling you right off the bat that these things are going to be in there, which I found very important. I do enjoy a trigger warning just in case if you are, in fact, triggered by these things. So it helps you to see. And this comic is very visually, it is unrelenting. Like it's very in your face. I would show you the first scene, but I will not because YouTube. But the first scene is of this superhero who has spina bifida, who is actually a genius as well, of him murdered and basically broken up.
Oh my God.
It's very, but they gave it a trigger warning, and they did not hesitate to hit you right in the face with it. But it's that image that's very striking. Then the next scene, let me see if I can do this without actually just scaring anyone. Is actually I'm not even going to do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why don't
Is
you
that
take
no,
take
I'm
it
not.
down and
Yeah,
take
I'm
it
not.
down and then try to go like
Yeah,
because even that first page, and then going to the
it's
second page, it's like there's still more there.
yeah, it's just very, like I said, it's visually striking. And it's this reporter trying to figure out who committed this murder, and it turns out that she is one of his best friends.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to all of his best friends from like I want to say like grade school or high school, and they all get together to mourn him, and then they want to figure out who killed him.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me a little bit of it, kind of
Okay.
like them like the kids getting together to figure out what's going on, which I
Yeah.
love. But like I said, it's very physically jarring, but I think that was needed because we don't see these images very often of someone with spina bifida
Mm-hmm.
or really disabled characters in general
Yeah.
like that, or anyone who is differently abled. Yeah, let me
Mm-hmm.
take it down to see if I can. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try to take it down. Screw it. But it was very. This is only 9 issues,
Okay.
but I think if you can tell a great story in less than 36 issues, or what have you, that's great. And it's a murder mystery, so you need that. You can't have a 36 issue mini murder mystery. I mean, you probably could if you were really good at it, but it's gonna draw. It's gonna, like, you get to the point where you're like, enough. But I really enjoyed that because of them going back, and it tells this story about how he was like this genius, and he came up with this almost armor that helped him to fight crime.
Yeah.
And he became like the world's like greatest superhero because of it. I just thought this was very jarring in a good way of seeing the depiction and of learning, because I didn't know what spina bifida was. I've heard of it before, but I didn't know what it was. Now I know, and it educated me, and I like that. It made me feel better, and it made me be able to navigate this first issue more. I'm going to read more of the story. I know I'm going to be getting jarred again by it, but because of the story and because of what it's saying, I'm going to allow it, because it felt like it was something I needed to read.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if by some chance this becomes an adaptation of a live action movie or a series, and we get a character who has spina bifida in the role, right there, that's more of that inclusion and representation that's there. So to have a story that shows differently abled and people who are not like the norm of what you see, like your Supermans, your Batmans, and standing, someone who was born with something different, was very was just very needed for me.
Yeah.
And it was something I didn't know anything about the comic, and I saw it on Global Comics. I was like, bet, let me check that out. And I was like, okay, yeah, Tin Can, I heard this was cool. Went to that second page, and I said, all right, I'm gonna need to take a minute. Hold on. Damn, y'all. I know you said it was gonna be a warning, but I didn't expect you to hit me like that. You went from 0 to 150 in like no seconds. But yeah, I definitely recommend this.
Okay. Nice.
It's a little harsh, like, so if you're not, so if you want something cute and what have you, I would suggest Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Right. This
Archie. Yeah. I heard DuckTales is really good.
Yeah.
Go with that. I'm not trying to be funny when I say that, but this is the opposite. This is one that, and it's not often that comics make me go, oh. This one made me go, oh, but I kept reading because it hit my 4 posts of the Pomar scale. That's a working title, where I was intrigued by the characters and who killed him. I was invested because I wanted to know why he was killed. I was invested because I wanted to know more about his friends, and I cared because I literally cared about why did they kill him. What happened? Who could have killed him? If he's a superhero like that, who could have killed him? How could they? And him as a kid as well, I cared about him. Every page, I was like, please don't let something happen to him. Please don't let something happen to him. And the 4th one was, I don't know what that was, but it makes a point of the 4th one is very impactful, which is what that sounded like. It's very impactful. The 4th one was, do I care? And I did care, which makes it cool to me. So that's why I kept reading it.
Yeah. I think I hit my hand.
I didn't know what I heard it, and I was like, all right, it sounded like almost something like slap clothes. That's supposed to go. Oh, what was? I was like, okay, cool, what have you. But yeah, I would check out, if you're okay with that type of comic, I would check out the Tin Can Society.
Nice.
And that is that.
A free comic book day, or?
Yes. How was your free comic book day?
It was good. Make it short. We Challenges Games and Comics. They did a really good event. Put it together, a really good event. Myself and other creatives, John Scooter Robinson. I keep calling him Scooter.
Yeah, that's certain point you have to actually say it. Scooter.
Keith Cross, Marcus Williams, brother by the name of Hotep, and Jordan. I'm trying to remember the name of the company, but it was good turnout. Free comics, sold some books, which is always a good thing. But it was nice. It was nice, just kind of being out, and so they treated us well. We got free Chinese food, and which is amazing. But it was a good turnout all around. And once again, shout out to Tony Cade and all the folks at Challenges Games and Comics who put it together. So it was definitely go and support your local LCS next year, but also throughout the year. If and when you can.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. I had to work that day, and I got off work, and I was like, I just didn't have the strength, so I didn't go to my local comic book shop. But I shop at my local comic book shops
yeah, all the time.
religiously. Whether it's the Comic Crypt here in Eatontown, which is my literally local shop. It's like 10 minutes away from me, or whether it's my other local comic book shop in New York, which is Anyone Comics and their sibling store, Everyone Comics. I always make the joke that next time Demetrius will name his third store, Everybody NM Comics, because it's just very inclusive, so it just makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope everyone had a great time. Yeah, I saw the heavy hitters that were at challenges. Like, damn, y'all just gotta, like, is this? And when I saw a picture of all of you, I was like, this feels like another documentary, like how there was like the Image documentary, like how Image started. I was like, look, with y'all powers combined, I mean, it may not be Captain Planet, but it was damn sure take over Earth. I'm not mad at this at all.
So was that the group picture? Because I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's how it looked, because it reminded me of like that image of like the Image pictures where like you saw like Image forming, and you saw this ragtag group, and like, and they just made this entire movement that blew everyone's minds. And I looked at that and I was like, that's where something starts.
That's awesome.
And I love that. So yeah. So yeah, folks, look, you got everything this episode. Okay. You got reviews of really cool comics, a lot of different things too. You got superhero comics, you got a superhero murder mystery, you have a manga with a young, which I want to read that, and I know it's going to take me time because it's like discombobulated, but I want to read that.
Yeah,
because it sounds cool. And you got a demon hunter with white hair and a big ass sword. I think that's the last time I'm going to say big ass sword. Nope, that was it right there. So we gave you a lot there. Gave you some information about tariffs and what's going to be happening with comics and tariffs. We will keep you abreast of that. And you also heard about Revival, which is an Image comic that's going to be coming out on SYFY Thursday, January 12th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it'll be on the following week. Get it together, Peacock. What the hell? On Peacock. That's a lot. But look, thank you very much for joining us. Robert, you have any final words for the folks?
No, I say no, and then I say yeah.
No, but yeah, let me tell y'all something.
Yeah. No, thanks for watching. Keep coming back, and we appreciate y'all. So thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, folks. Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on The Hungry Bleak, which is also on the same channel. There will be a Sinners panel discussion. Subject was card was subject to change, and it did a bit with one of our guests. But we have this incredible crew. We've got Cerise Rennie Murphy,
yes,
Keith Cross, Byron Kennedy, Erica D. Butler are going to be speaking about Sinners. We're going to be talking about the themes in Sinners. We're going to be talking about our favorite scenes, the music. It's going to be fun. So check us out, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Hungry Bleak channel, on the Hungry Bleak show, which is on the Hungry Bleak channel. I mean, it's right there in the name, folks. I don't know how easy to make it for you. All right. I'll be putting up schedules like I did. I'm learning to do stuff. I'll be putting up schedules like that just to let you know what's coming up in the week, and we'll be going from there. All right.
Cool.
So you all have a very good evening. Enjoy the rest of it. I am Antonio. This is Robert. You all have a very good evening. And as always, F Trump. I don't know how else to make that as simple.